How to Be the One for Kids, episode 606. Thank you, Discovery Education, for sponsoring today's show. At the end of the show, I'll tell you about 2 free contests for your grades 5 through 12 students in the U.S. The Stanley Black & Decker Making for Good Student Challenge and the CITGO Fueling Education Student Challenge. Stay tuned.
The 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with Vicki Davis. Every weekday, you'll learn powerful, practical ways to be a more remarkable teacher today.
Today, we're talking with Principal Ryan Sheehy, an elementary principal from Northern California. Now, Ryan, you like to tell people to be the one. What do you mean?
Each and every one of us has a power inside to be the one for kids. That comes from me after a long time of teaching, of going from school to school as a physical education teacher and sitting in staff lounges and hearing teachers talk and hearing teachers share with each other about the struggles, the trials and the tribulations happening in the classroom, and just realizing that each one of us has the power to change the life of a child. And we need to unleash that power. And the time to unleash that power is today.
Okay, you got a story, an example to help us? Because if you've been teaching at all, you know this is true.
One of them is when I was a high school vice principal. If you've ever been into a high school administrative office, you know that yelling and screaming always isn't that uncommon. This one time I open up the door and I hear yelling and screaming in the back. And I walk into the back, around the corner, and here's this girl, super disheveled hair, scratches with blood on her face. Obviously, visibly, she'd been in a fight. I opened up my office door and I said, hey, go ahead and have a seat. And then I walked right out and I closed the door and gave her some time to calm down. About 5 minutes had gone by. I walked back into the office and opened up the door and I just sat down and I said, hey, what's going on? And she went on to tell me the story about how this girl mugged her, and that's what led to the fight. I said, no. What's going on with you? And asking that question opened up a floodgate of emotions and a floodgate of a narrative, where she went on to tell me that her dad died when she was super young. Her mom remarried to a man that abused her and ended up in prison. And she'd been taken out of the home and had been going from group home to group home. And she opened up and shared her story with me. And that was the power of me just asking, hey, what's going on? And throughout that story, we formed a bond. We formed a relationship. And each day from then on, for the next 2 years, she started off her day in my office. And she knew that somebody believed in her. She knew that somebody wanted to get to know who she was. She told me one time that nobody had ever celebrated her birthday. And I said, that changes next year. Next year on your birthday, we're going to go out for lunch. And so her, myself, and one of our school resource officer went down to a local diner. We had lunch. And we're sitting there, we're eating lunch. She's beaming from ear to ear. And I looked at her, I said, you can have anything on the menu. And she goes, can I have a milkshake? I've never had a milkshake. And I said, absolutely, you can have a milkshake. You can have anything you want. And from then on, we had this relationship where anytime there was a problem at the group home, she'd be able to come down, sit down. We'd be able to have a conversation. Now, sure, she still got in trouble from here and there, but she knew that she had somebody to go to talk to. She knew she had somebody in her corner. And now today, she's graduated high school and she's in college trying to become a judge to help kids just like her.
And she'd never had a milkshake.
And she never had a milkshake. That's right. Now, did I do that? No, I didn't. But was I part of her journey? Absolutely. And that's the power that we have as educators. We have the power to get into children's lives and make an impact. And that might look a million different ways, but we have the power and we have to put ourselves out there in order to connect with kids and build relationships to change their lives.
You know, I have a student who is a junior at Savannah College of Art and Design and doing very well. And I remember her in 8th grade talking to her about what a gifted artist and graphic designer she could be. And she wrote me a letter at the end of her 9th grade year and said, I never knew I could be a graphic designer. I didn't even know that was a thing. And it's like all it takes is just a word, a moment, a blink of an eye to change their lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You just reminded me of a news article I was reading not that long ago about a little boy in the UK who'd been doodling in class and getting in trouble time after time. And his parents looked at it and said, hey, you know what, this kid has some artistic capabilities, and enrolled him in an after-school art class. And the art class teacher, saw his work and was amazed by the cartoons that he was drawing and took a picture of that, put it out on social media. Well, a local restaurant contacted the art teacher and said, hey, who's your artist? We'd love for them to come into our restaurant and do some decoration. So now this kid has gone into this restaurant and doodled all over their walls, creating these masterpieces because somebody said something. Somebody saw something in him that could change his life and put it out there to show the world.
Wow. So we can be the one. You think it just takes stepping back, taking a minute, listening? Are there any other things that you think help us be more likely to be the one?
Yeah, I think we need to sit back and we need to reflect on our why. We need to look at our why and we say, why are we in education? Why were we put on this earth? And looking at that first. So we need to re-look at our why, identify your why. Then you need to look at your mindset. What's our mindset? Do we have that growth mindset? Do we have that fixed mindset? Where are we on that mindset continuum? And then we need to take both of those and put it into action. And that takes time, and that takes a lot of reflection, and that takes time to build the relationships that are needed to make it happen. I think we all have that power within us, but too often educators get caught up from the day-to-day activities because the job is hard. It is life-sucking. It takes a lot out of us, right? Because we give so much into it, pour our heart and soul into that. And too often we don't look and realize, hey, you know what? I really do have the power in this child's life, this student's life. Maybe I do need to take a step back. Hey, we might not get through that lesson today, but you know what? This person, this individual is a little bit more important than that, a lot more important than that. So let's make sure that we go down that path today.
We have to relate before we educate. I say it all the time. And
100%.
And it's just true. I know this may sound corny because it's in the movie Avatar, but they talk about, do you see me? Do we rush through our lives so much that sometimes we don't actually look in other people's eyes and see them and realize that something's happening?
I think that becomes more and more evident as kids get older in education because they voice that more and more. When I was a vice principal at a high school, one of the classes made a project, if my teachers only knew, and they sat there and they recorded themselves, I wish my teacher knew this about me, this about me, this about me. And it takes time. It takes people sitting down and really seeing who they're educating. Who is that? And we are slammed each and every day with the standards and this assessment needs to be done. This assessment needs to be done. We need to look and see how can we use the relationships to get to learning, right? Because learning is the ultimate goal. And I guarantee you, if you invest in your students and you invest in the people that they are, the education is going to go much quicker because we have to get through so much content each and every year in our classes. And people are worried that if they give up the time, then they're not going to be able to achieve that. I promise you that if you invest in relationships, the learning will come, the learning will happen, and you will have more time for that education piece.
Wow. Ryan, give us a 30-second pep talk to be the one.
Each and every one of us has the power to change the life of a child. And that starts today. It starts each and every day. It starts with your mindset. What are you thinking about? What are you going to do? How are you going to walk into that school and change the life of a child? You were put on this earth for a reason. What's your why? Taking that why, putting it into action, changes the game for kids. You have the power. You have the power today to change the life of a child, and now is the time to unleash that power.
Let's do it. Let's be the one. Thanks, Ryan.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Discovery Education has 2 student challenges happening now. The Stanley Black & Decker Making for Good Student Challenge runs now through Thursday, January 30th, 2020 for students in grades 9 through 12. This STEAM challenge invites students to design a blueprint for a product that could improve our world while following the 6-step engineering design process. Learn more at coolcatteacher.com/maker challenge. The CITGO Fueling Education Challenge for students in grades 5 through 8 asks students to create a STEM solution to improve our world. They will make a short video sharing their sustainability solution and the process they used to create it, now through February 13th, 2020. Learn more at coolcatteacher.com/sustain. Students love an audience and love a challenge with cash prizes. And here are 2 fantastic challenges from Discovery Education. I hope you'll join in.